you've been where our audience has been, and I think that's obviously unique to your role, that you were a high performing practitioner and leader of teams and everything. And so that perspective is obviously huge, because we just came from obviously a big settlement world. And I was listening to, I think it was your podcast with James and Keith, just talking about how that was an organic transition for us. In real estate, we really like to have more of those organic movements, and shift and change is still good. And that is not one that was organic to any of us. And so we're not at all.
And I think it's a really important thing to point out, right? So whether it's business or organisms, most evolution and change is organic, right? Like someone creates a better mousetrap and puts the other person out of business, Netflix to Blockbuster, Amazon to brick and mortar. Sure. This was not that. This was, and I haven't been shy about it, this was a bunch of money hungry attorneys that don't care about our industry, saw an opportunity and a payday, and went for it. I can't fathom how any of this stuff in a vacuum is a better experience for a consumer. Is any more transparent?
Amen.
The argument on transparency is the one I could never get my head around. But here we are. We have a new paradigm to deal with. And one of the questions, I guess I'm not shy to say I disagree with all this, but this is the new set of rules we have to contend with.
100%.
And then the question I would pose to practitioners is, do you still want to compete in the marketplace and provide your service to buyers and sellers? If the answer is yes, we have this new rule sets to deal with. And in every decision I've made so far this year has been purely in the lens of what is the best experience for the consumer. And I think if we just choose that as the guiding light, it makes everything kind of simple and melts away, right? So for us, we created our own buyer representation agreement and our own listing agreement. As soon as I read that thing on March 15th, I went live to agents on March 18th, and to my very surprise, we had 53,000 people show up to see what I had to say about it, which told me I'm not special, but there was just a lot of confusion and kind of curiosity as to what's going to happen next. And the inorganic format with hey, there's a line in the sand, it's very arbitrary. By the way, we're going to make it a Saturday, which I thought was insult to injury, to go into effect. And there's these really big penalties if you get it wrong. But by the way, the rules are kind of gray, right? That's what I interpreted. So, we created some controversy because we went past the settlement, and I'm super clear as to the decision I made. But it was kind of input from the DOJ sending a cease and desist to California Association of Realtors. And we just said, hey, if it's not okay here and it's kind of okay here, how about we just not do it at all? Can we create a mechanism that allows you to still have the same outcome? I'm happy to do that, which we do seller to broker, right? You've mentioned Dwiggins and I mentioned Lamakia, which both decided to do the same thing with their companies.
Yep.
And many, many other companies have followed since. But when I said it midsummer, it turned into blasphemy for about 2 weeks. And it was mostly because we just didn't want to let go of the old, right? And so, again, I'll be the first one to say none of this makes sense to me, but these are the new rules. So if these are the rules, how do we not create more liability is my whole thing. So it's been an interesting time, and I think we're nowhere close to the other side. I'm calling this phase of our world the messy middle. Whether we're out of it in 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months is a guess. But there will be a new normal we get to. And I think after that new normal, when we think back of the way we used to do it, will probably seem silly because that's human nature, right? I could see agents who pass their test next summer go, wait, you used to put people in cars without a signed agreement and you didn't know what you were going to
right.
It was up to the listing agent what you made. That's kind of crazy. Because that's what we used to do, right? Think about that in Texas where, homes built all in the same year, the same floor plan, same model. You could make 20, 30, 40, 50% less depending on what the listing agent offered on co-op. So there are things now that through a new paradigm seems kind of crazy. So we have a new normal, but at the end of the day, what I keep saying to people is I don't think consumers care about our inside baseball. We talk about.
No, not at all. Yeah.
No, CCP and BBAs. And at the end of the day, that young family whose lease is up in 60 days, they just want to get into a home and they want to know that you're going to take care of them. So I tell everybody, education attracts. Don't overcomplicate it. Explain your value proposition. Explain what you charge for that fee. and serve families.